Well, happy Monday to you, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from gorgeous, sunshiny San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coaching speaker in the world. Hope you guys are fired up and ready for this fantastic Monday, the beginning of this Thanksgiving week. I intend to go hard in the paint this morning. I hope that this is a video that you share. And before I begin, I would also like to ask you for a favor. If anybody wants to send me a brand new binky and a blanket, I would love to have these as props for my show. I could go get it, but why should I rob the blessing from you of providing for me a binky and a blankie? All right, ladies and gentlemen, foolishness argues right or wrong. Well, that's not right. Well, that's wrong. Well, you're wrong. That's not right. I'm right. You're wrong. Wisdom argues love. Foolishness argues right or wrong. Wisdom argues love. Let me first break down the definition to you so that you can understand why I love words and am a student of etymology, because words have significant meaning and they are very different. Biblically, there were three different breakdowns for the word love. In America, we tend to use the word love very loosely. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love cheeseburgers. I love Grimaldis. I love red wine. I love Jesus. This is a very generic term. In the Greek, there were three derivatives, three derivations that all had significantly different meanings, which is why studying words and their origin is very important to understand the true nature. There was the love that you know and I know that would be considered eros. It's where we get the base word erotic, erotica. Eros is that passionate love between two lovers. Then you have phileo. Phileo was brotherly love. This is the brotherly love. This is a type of love that you have for friends and relationships and people you deeply care about. It is not a romantic love. And then you have what is known as agape love. Agape love is this love of God. It is an unconditional love that has nothing to do with emotions or with feelings. It simply has to do with a decision and a choice and a position that one has to actually move forward in actions and activities. Agape love does not have to say, I love you. Agape love demonstrates love. Does this make sense? So we're talking about the agape love this morning. Foolishness argues right and wrong. Wisdom argues love. I love you, baby doll. I see you there this morning. What do I mean by that, and how does that relate to your life and your life this week? This is a Thanksgiving week series on peace, on enjoying the relationships that you will have when you are enjoying this week and running into people you may not run into often. Foolishness wants to have a conversation about who's right and who's wrong. The problem with that is it takes away from people. It takes away from people. There is a statement by a gentleman who wrote a book called Aspire, and that word is genshai. And genshai means I will not treat another person in such a way that it would make them feel small, including myself. So when you think of genshai, you think of this way of being, this way of living, who you have to become to walk in this type of grace and love that has nothing to do with feelings. It has everything to do with making a decision and taking action. For someone to be right in an argument or a conversation or debate, the other person has to be exactly wrong. For someone to be right, the other person has got to be wrong. So the conversation about right or wrong always carries within it the seed of a diminishing of the other party, because the conversation really is tied to a prideful position of, I know what I'm talking about, you don't. I'm right, you're wrong. There's always some type of pride connected to that inside a person attempting to save face. Foolishness argues right or wrong. This was a tactic used on Jesus when Jesus was here. People would ask him, Master, tell us the truth. What should we do? Is it right if we catch someone in adultery that we can stone them? The law says that's what's right. We can do that. It's wrong not to do that. Then Listen to this. Check this out. He doesn't say anything. He's quiet. They ask him again, what do we do? Do we stone her? She's caught in adultery. Law of Moses, right and wrong, says this. He simply stands up and says, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. He didn't say right or wrong. He argued love and wisdom. He didn't argue right or wrong. He argued love. And when he lifted the young lady up, who was indeed guilty, he said, where are your accusers? And she said, Lord, I have none. He said, neither do I condemn you or accuse you. Go and sin no more. There was an argument for right or wrong. He didn't fall into it. He argued love. It was an emergency situation. Y'all hear that? It's an emergency, man. Loving people's an emergency. You never know whose life depends on you showing up without your feelings or conditions or your emotions, but simply showing up in your actions and activities and in your behavior. Foolishness argues right or wrong. Wisdom argues love. You see, another question that Jesus was asked to trap him in this right or wrong agenda was, Lord, what's the greatest commandment? Here's where love shows up. He says simply this. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your might, all your strength. And the second is just as equal. Love your neighbor as yourself. Now get this next part. All the law and the prophets, right or wrong, right or wrong. All the law and the prophets, 10 commandments, right or wrong, ceremony, stuff. All the law and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments. Everything. Do you know why? You know the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet, thou shalt. You know them, the thou shalt nots, right? Check this out, homie. It ain't an issue of right or wrong. That's foolishness. It's an issue of love. If you love someone, you ain't going to lie to them. If you love someone, you ain't going to steal from them. If you love someone, you ain't going to kill them. If you love someone, you're not going to sleep with their wife or their husband. If you love someone, see, all the law and the prophets, all the arguments of right or wrong are in a vortex around the concept of love. And this was the problem with the Pharisees in Jesus' day. They wanted to argue right or wrong. Do you know people today who want to argue right or wrong? Well, my God's right and your God's wrong. Well, my belief is right and your belief is wrong. Well, I'm going to be right and you're going to be wrong. That is foolishness. That is foolishness. That's where you become a member of the thumb-sucking, blanket-carrying, whiner babies of America, and I don't want you to be part of that group. You know what I mean? Don't want you to be part of that group. Wisdom has a discussion about love. How can I manifest love in this situation? How can I make a difference in this person's situation? When you argue right or wrong, there's no space for love to show up. According to the definition I said earlier, agape love, this unconditional love that is a decision, it is a choice, it is not a feeling, it is not an emotion. Thank goodness God can't fall out of love like stupid men and women do. Well, I just fell out of love. No, dummy, because you don't understand love. Love is a decision. Love is a choice. Love is a commitment. It is a decision, a choice, a commitment. It ain't a feeling. There is this section of the word eros where there is romantic love. Well, we just don't feel that way anymore. Well, I bet you, Uncle Buck and Sugar Pie Honey Plum, I bet y'all aren't doing the same things you did in the beginning when you were courting, which caused you to feel those feelings. I bet you guys have become familiar with each other, take each other for granted, and complain more about each other than you bless one another. I bet. Now, I ain't that smart, but I got some insight. And I would guess if you did the things you did in the beginning with the same heart, passion, integrity, and intensity, that y'all might just feel about each other a little bit different. Foolishness wants to have a conversation about what's right and what's wrong. Wisdom has a conversation about love. How can I make a difference? How can I make this a conversation? Let me just give you a simple conversation just in real estate. Realtors all day long are going to be screwing up saying, well, I know you think your house is worth $570,000, but my data shows that it's worth $450,000. So, here's my data. I'm right about it. I know you think you're right, but I've got it right here. A simple change in words. hey, I really appreciate that you have taken the information to get that data on what your house is worth. That's fantastic. I've also done the same. I'm going to be using data that the appraisers who lend money to people are using. So instead of us talking about, the value of your house, let's just talk about what buyers are paying for homes like yours in the current market right now. Because that's really what you need from me as a professional, is to help you understand what buyers are paying for homes like yours in the market right now. Fair enough? See, that's love. That ain't a right or wrong conversation. With your spouse, you want to get into an argument about who's right or wrong? You can do that. Or you can operate in love. You can demonstrate love. Listen to what Jesus said. He said, all the law and the prophets, take the entire Old Testament. He said, all that hangs on these two commandments. Love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, all your might. And love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on those two things. All of the right and wrong arguments hang on loving God, loving people. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why I don't claim to know a whole lot about the good Lord. What I do know is that he loves us like crazy town, because that's who he is. And two, I got to learn to love me so I can love other people. So as I receive that love from him, and I start to accept myself with all my flaws and inadequacies as a construction project that will never be complete until I'm stuck in that wooden box in the ground, okay? I am under construction. I am okay with where I am in him. He's okay with where I am in him. And therefore, because I can love on Steve Collins now I can love on all y'all as well. You want to argue right or wrong? It's foolishness. For someone to win, someone has to lose. And nobody wants to lose, right? That doesn't make anybody feel special or blessed. If you want to argue right or wrong, do it. It's foolishness. I challenge you to argue love. Ask yourself the question, what can I do in this situation that would demonstrate love? Agape love. As I broke it down, 3 words: phileo, brotherly love; eros, romantic love; agape, the unconditional love that is a choice, a demonstration, an action, not a feeling, not an emotion. It is a giving. It is a giving love. You've heard it. Famous quote, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believeth him should not perish but have eternal life. He gave. It doesn't say, for God so loved the world that he gave it a big hug and kiss and said, y'all are fabulous. Then they screwed up and he said, I don't love y'all no more. I fell out of love with y'all. It's not flaky like that. This is a demonstration, an action, an activity that goes out. You want to live a low-level life and have issues and arguments and challenges and problems? Then be about what's right and wrong. If you want to live an abundant life, full of joy and peace that no man can take away from you, focus on love. Have a great day, guys.